Welcome back to Leah's Loot. Today I want to talk about how I have created a system that's really working for me and working with my ADHD and not against it. This took a lot of study, educating myself, trying things, failing at things, trying new things, switching it up from time to time, automating what I can, planning better, and just being aware of my money situation as life progresses. Learning about ADHD Tax, all that stuff. We're going to talk about all that today. I'm glad you're here. I'm going to zoom you out. As always, we're going to start with a cold drink. If you saw my video where we tallied up all of my January savings challenges totals, I had just opened this guava berry and I'm going to finish it now. Because we want to stay healthy and hydrated while we're working with our money. Let me leave this all here. Give you something pretty to look at while we talk. So, like many women in particular, and it's not unique to women, but women do make up a disproportionate number of what are known as late diagnosed ADHD patients. And I was 42 years old before I was correctly and officially diagnosed with ADHD, which means that I have spent my entire life living with ADHD, but because I didn't understand that, I was figuring out how to cope. I was figuring out how to muddle through. I was figuring out how to turn my life and especially my finances into an enormous hot mess. Just embarrassing to think about. And then as I learned how my brain actually works and why I was looking at other people my age, and this goes all the way back into my college years. Why am I looking at college kids that are getting their work done on time? Why am I looking at people in my professional peer group who are just thriving in the job and I'm struggling? And I'm more intelligent than them. Maybe I'm more educated than them. I have talent. I have a working brain. I have all kinds of skills, and yet somehow I felt like, and in many ways this is totally quantifiable, a failure. In my 30s, in my relationships, I've learned about how ADHD has affected me over the years. I look back at friendships that I neglected to nurture because, on one hand, I had rejection sensitivity issues. On the other hand, I go into what's known as object permanence. Like if a thing or a person is not right in front of my face, I don't just not notice you. I forget that you exist. That's a terrible thing to say to people who have friends who they love, and I love my friends, and I have really wonderful friends, and I've been blessed with the fact that I have friends who still periodically reach out to me and take the initiative to remind me that they're there and that they care for me, which I really appreciate. So let's talk about how this cognitive disorder, this neurochemical imbalance, all kinds of ways to describe attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Even the term is a misnomer. People with ADHD, we don't have a deficit of attention. We have a surplus of it. We notice more than the average person, which makes us highly distractible and overworks the brain. We have other issues as well that coincide with that. But it absolutely affects an ADHD person's relationship with and skill around money. So, let's get into this. I have 8 tips. These are mine. These are just from me. This is the stuff that as I was learning about my disorder and learning how to manage my symptoms so that they're not controlling and ruining my life, figure out systems that work with my ADHD and not against it, have actually really worked for me. And it's years now that it's worked for me. Years now. Okay, the first one is this. I finally had to face the music. And I want to give a shout out to Dave Ramsey. I know there might be people who have all kinds of opinions about him, but the fact of the matter is, my first time learning about the long-term negative effect of consumer debt was through a Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University course when I was 28 years old. And I have gone back to this step numerous times when I've fallen back into old patterns and habits without realizing it, when I've made an impulse purchase because I had a moment of weakness. I did it in the moment. I wasn't even thinking about the consequences. It's the novelty, it's the now, it's the dopamine hit, it's the self-medicating, and then I have it to regret later. I have to keep coming back to this step. And that's maybe the first thing I want to tell you is that the things on this list, I've not perfected them. I have them in my toolbox. And you might have to rely on these things more than once, and that's okay. To change a brain and to develop new skills, new habits is hard. And with an ADHD brain, we have other setbacks that we deal with. It's okay. It's still doable, but we have to actually do it. So what do I mean by face the music? It's simple. I actually need to know, where is my money? I need to know how much money is coming in and how much money is going out. I need to know how much money I owe. That's every kind of debt you can think of. A car note, a mortgage, a student loan, a personal loan, credit cards, other consumer debt, layaway plans, payday loans, individual loans. If you just borrowed money from someone, you need to know who you owe money to, how much, and then I would add to it, do yourself a favor and learn how much of that is interest, and then this is what I want you to hear me say about this part. You need to understand what interest is. Interest is not the lender's money. You did not borrow the interest. Interest is money that you went to work to earn, and now you're giving it to somebody who's already wealthier than you for the privilege of being richer. It's a tribute that you pay to a lender to say, oh, thank you, rich one, for letting me use your money today. Here's all of the money I borrowed from you and a crap ton extra out of my own pocket. When you finally realize that interest is your money and not the lender's, it really will motivate you to look at the percentage of all of your debts that is attributed to interest. It could be 24% on the high balance of a credit card that you carry, 14% on a car note, 8% on a mortgage. Calculate that. Figure out what the total amount of interest is, and then look at how much you'll save if you pay down that debt. Keep your own money in your pocket. ADHD people have this wild way of just sending money down the toilet, out the door, out the window, or burying it in a coffee can in the backyard, and serving no purpose because there's no plan. It's all impulsive. It's out of control. And now we're stressed. We're losing sleep. It's affecting our health. It's affecting our relationships. Marriages break up over this stuff. People end up in having wages garnished. Some of you may have even contemplated declaring bankruptcy at some point. Don't do that. Face the music. Get real with what money is coming in, what money, your actual real bills, and your variable expenses. And take care of your four walls. That's a Ramsey phrase. 4 walls. Your shelter, your food and clothing, your transportation, and your health. And that would include your insurance coverages and such. Plus, just your bills. You want to make sure your bills are paid. You want to make sure that at least minimum payments on your debts are being paid. And then whatever's left over, if you're carrying consumer debt, you need to throw that money at the consumer debt. Get that done so that you're not giving free money that you're earning away to people who are already 5 steps ahead of you financially. Keep as much of your money in your pocket as possible. face the music. Number 2, build impulse friction. There are all kinds of ways to do this. If you have an emergency fund, which I hope you do, I hope you have a starter emergency fund of any, a lot of suggestions might be $1,000. That's what I do. I just keep $1,000 cash hidden nearby, easy to get to. Maybe you want to save the total value of your insurance deductibles. Maybe that can be your emergency. That way, if you had a car emergency and a health emergency, you'd at least have your deductible taken care of at the same time without going into further debt. So that one way to build impulse friction is to make it hard to get to that money, but not impossible to get to it quickly. All kinds of ways you can do this. You can hide it in your house and tell one person that you trust where it is, and leave it alone. If you don't trust yourself not to spend it, one thing I've done before is I freeze my cash inside a sandwich bag. I put it inside a sandwich bag, seal it, and then I put that inside of a quart bag and seal it, and then I put that inside of a gallon bag filled with water and I freeze it. That way, if I'm tempted to like dip into that emergency cash to buy something on impulse that just, I want to own it, I don't have enough credit for it, it's an impulse purchase, I want to go on a trip, I want to go out to eat, I don't feel like cooking tonight, that's not an emergency. And just the fact that I have to rummage through the freezer, find it, and thaw it out gives me enough buffer time to kind of rethink it. Number 2, if you have the discipline, put things in your cart and then save it for 24 hours before you decide finally to purchase something, just to give yourself a little more time. A lot of us will be thrilled. We enjoy the novelty of picking out the thing we want to buy and imagining what we'll do with it when we get it. And that's the dopamine hit. And what we find is if we leave it in the cart, walk away from our phone, walk away from the app, and move on with our life, a day later, we might not even remember that was sitting in the cart until they notify us and say, hey, you have stuff still in your cart. You should come back for a second look. And by then you may have already decided, oh no, I didn't actually want that anymore. I just wanted to think about it. So it's like, you're just window shopping, which is fine. If the impulse, however, is so strong to click that buy button every time you think of something, take the app off your phone or log out of the account, make yourself log back in, or remove the credit card that's attached to the account, remove it completely, delete it, so that you have to re-add it every time you want to make a purchase. Those are just like ways to put a buffer between you and a bad purchase. Make it a little bit harder for you to make a bad financial decision in an impulse. Number 3, understand ADHD tax. Well, I just referred to one, which is our impulsiveness. Impulse control is difficult for us. That's an ADHD tax we pay. Bouncing around from job to job, I've done that. I have had trouble settling into something of a long-term settled career that made enough money for me to live on. That's an ADHD tax. I get bored. I crave mental stimulation. I've taken jobs before that I had some skill for it, but then once I got into it, it was too repetitive, or it was too people-y, or something like that. Another ADHD tax that I have dealt with personally is object permanence. And that includes thinking of a bill that needs to be paid or thinking of a document that needs to be submitted. Tax forms, for example. My tax returns, probably half of my life, have been late. I've had to file extensions half the time because April 15th is at my door and I forgot that I hadn't even done my taxes yet. That's an ADHD tax that I deal with. I have to understand that. And the more I understood that that's what was happening, it wasn't me being lazy. It wasn't me being irresponsible. I had all kinds of negative messaging in my mind about that, judgment on myself, but that's not what was happening. There are terms, there's explanations of how my brain is working in a different way from a normal person that makes these things difficult. So do yourself a little favor. If you've never heard this term before, get online and search the term ADHD tax and begin to understand how ADHD is holding you back. I was going to say about the career, part of what happens when we bounce around from job to job is that we have a spotty work history. We have income that fluctuates. And we've never stayed in one place long enough to advance up the ranks of a business. Which means we've robbed ourselves of the opportunity for promotions and raises. Because at least for me, I had a hard time staying at a job long enough to feel like I was justified in trying to negotiate a reasonable wage hike. And what that meant is that over time, the cumulative effect of that is that my credit history was spotty, my work history was spotty. It makes it difficult to get a loan when I did need to borrow money. It also robbed me of potential income. I wouldn't be as financially behind in my investment portfolio, in my retirement plan, as my age-related peers if I had understood this earlier. Number 4, automate Mucho. This has saved me so much. Technology is great now. 20 years ago, I couldn't have done this. Now I can. I can go in to use the bill pay feature in my checking account. I can have my tithe check automatically sent to my church. I support a couple of church camps and a couple of mission projects. I have money automatically deducted from my account. I never think of it. My Schwab account, $150 on the 7th of every month is taken out of my paycheck, out of my checking account, straight to Schwab. I don't have to think about it. My $88 a month subscription, I set aside $88 a month to pay for all of my annual subscriptions, goes straight from my checking account to my high yield savings every month. I don't even think about it. All I have to do is deposit the money, and then I watch it just flow where it needs to flow. That has helped so much in having consistency. Here's the thing with ADHD. Habits are hard because they're repetitive, they get boring, they're not exciting anymore. It's why ADHD people struggle with something as simple as washing dishes or brushing our teeth sometimes. Automating means that I can offload the habit onto digital tools and it can be strong for me. My bank can be consistent for me. My automations are consistent for me. I don't have to do it. And then I don't have to feel bad that I'm not doing it. I don't have to feel like a terrible person that I can't do it. I don't have to blame myself for not being able to do it or shame myself for that. I can let the automation be the tool that I use that offloads that habit, and then it gets done and it's consistent and it's very low stress on me. It's a fix it and forget it thing. It's getting done. That's the point. It's not that I have to be the one to stay on top of every single payment, every single time, in every single correct increment. The more I automate, the more I can set it up once and then trust the process, and it's consistent. My savings are consistent. My investment portfolio is built consistently over time, and so on. Automate everything that you possibly can. Number 5, this is what we do on this channel, Gamify Saving. If I just got my paycheck, put it in the bank and said, okay, I'm only going to spend this amount and the rest I'll just save, and you're just going to save it in the bank, that is never going to happen. Because I'll refer you back to number 2, impulse. It's very difficult for us to save, and here's why. It's a time management issue. It's something called time blindness or a lack of time awareness. For an ADHD person, 5 years from now it doesn't exist. We can't anticipate 5 years from now, because I don't even know. I can't even anticipate 5 months from now. 5 days from now is all I have is now. I think it was Dr. Holloway, but I'll double check that. But or at least I heard him quote this, so I need to look up who actually said it originally. But for ADHD people, we have now and not now. We have what's immediately in front of us, demanding our attention, demanding our focus, the project that we want to get done, or the task we need to complete, or the overwhelm in our environment that has us stymied. That's in front of us. That's the now. And then we just have not now, which is everything else that isn't in our immediate field of vision. Gamifying saving takes the not now and puts it into the now. Because now you can use, I'll pull out this savings challenge, for example. Now I have a visual way of marking progress, checking that I'm making progress on a little savings goal. I'm playing a game. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying artwork. I'm enjoying the process of imagining where all I want this money to go. And we'll talk about sinking funds in a minute. And to gamify this means that I no longer have to rely on myself not to be impulsive and spend the money I thought I was going to save. And it also forces me to save now for things that aren't now. So I highly suggest you get into however you want to do that. There's all kinds of savings challenges. There's box challenges. There's roll the dice games around money. You'll find people getting so creative. There's mix and match things. There's group play. All kinds of things in the budgeting community that are tools that you can use. Many of them are free. You certainly don't want to be racking up huge bills while you're trying to save money. Gamify everything you can in the way of saving your money. And that includes saving money out of each paycheck that's supposed to go to debt. So I'm not even talking necessarily long-term savings or short-term goals. You might just be saving whatever money was supposed to come out of this paycheck that could be an extra debt payment. Like, make it fun to pay down your debt if you're carrying that consumer debt. If you're not carrying consumer debt, maybe you want to save extra from your paycheck to go toward your investments for your future, or to match your 401k plan if you have one of those. I don't, but some employers offer that. Whatever you can do, make it fun to keep as much of your money under your control as possible. Number 6, don't get ambushed. This is how I think about how valuable long-term savings are. A sinking fund. It's a funny name. If you've been in the budgeting community a minute, you've heard it before, but just in case that term is new to you, a sinking fund is a short-term savings account or savings goal. I will show you my own long-term binder, and you'll be able to see firsthand. I have this little binder. You don't need a binder. You'll see a lot of budgeters who got like fancy binders and stuff. I liked it, but then I saw some of the people in the budgeting community have like 14 binders, and they have sinking funds for like every Tom, Dick, and Harry in their family and all that stuff. And I was like, nope, that's too complicated. I need something simpler. So I have 2 binders. One that's long-term savings right here, and the other one is my red binders. It's my short-term little savings challenges that I do every month with you on my other videos. Here's how long-term savings and sinking funds work. This is a capacity for me to think ahead and go, how much money do I need to pay my annual phone bill? How much money do I need to cover the cost of my Christmas purchases? I'll use this one as an example. Here's my cell phone. So I'm on Mint Mobile, and you get a discount on Mint Mobile if you pay annually instead of monthly. So I created a sinking fund. I took the total amount of my bill, I divided it by 12, and I got an average of about $33 a month. So every month I save $33. Each one of these phones, then I broke down even further, divided that into the 30 icons on this tracker, and each one is $11. So every time I have extra money, I save, I try to save 33 out of each paycheck, but then if I have extra, I'll save an extra $11 here, $11 there. And I'm putting $11 at a time to my total cell phone bill. When my cell phone bill comes due at the end of March, I will have already incrementally saved for the 100% value of that bill all year long, little by little, paycheck by paycheck, and all of the money will be there. I'm paying cash, and I'm not using a credit card. I'm not running up debt, and I'm saving money with the annual amount instead of paying the monthly amount. Don't let annual bills ambush you. So a couple of things you can do. I'll link another video that I've made before that gives you the breakdown of how I created a schedule of all of my annual bills and subscriptions or quarterly tax payments, and what day on the calendar those are due, and what total amount each year or each quarter it is, and how much that breaks down per paycheck. And that way I'm never caught off guard. Every little bill, every big bill, whether it's a subscription for an app that I use, or it's a subscription for a bill that I pay, a utility that I have, or it's a savings of something I want to spend later, like my hobbies. I garden and I knit. Now I have all the knitting supplies I need on hand right now, so I'm good with that. But gardening supplies I always need, seed starting mix, maybe soil amendments. I might have to replace old seeds with new ones. And so I save $600 a year. I break that down. There's 12 months in a year. I get paid twice a month from my smaller job and twice a month from my bigger job. And I'm able to take just little incremental bits and put that toward my savings fund. That way, when it comes time to fully fund my garden, I have saved every dollar I need. I planned for it. I'm not going to get caught off guard. I'm not going to forget that a bill is due, and I'm not going to get caught having to use credit to pay something because I planned to pay it in cash. Don't get ambushed. Number 7, change it up. We crave, ADHD people, we need intellectual and mental stimulation. We do. We have creative energy. We have a desire for the next thing, the next new idea, the next phase, novelty they call it. We enjoy feeding our impulses. We enjoy dopamine hits and serotonin and norepinephrine, all the feel-good hormones that our brains produce. The problem with ADHD people is we don't produce enough of it, or we don't have the protein blockchains in place that carry it to the prefrontal cortex where we need it most. And so we're always chasing it because we don't produce and process it to the same degree that a normal brain does. One of the ways you can stay on top of your money is to change up your tactics. Try different kinds of savings challenges and games. Try renegotiating some of your bills from time to time. When it comes time to pay your car insurance, shop around, see if you can get a better deal. Change it up, try to save some cash. One of the ways I've changed it up over the years is to change how much money I give myself permission to give me for my own fun money, my own personal spending, and my Charles Schwab investment brokerage account. I have increased both. And it's because I realized that I was sort of depriving myself. I never felt like I was enjoying the money that I was working so hard to earn. And with ADHD, this goes back to the ADHD tax. For many of us, we're working harder than our peers. and making the same, or in some cases even less than them. And so for all that labor and all that effort, I want to be able to enjoy the life that I have now without breaking my bank. The goal here is to be intentional. It's not to squander, and it's not to reward myself for things I haven't earned yet, but it's to use reward systems to allow myself to enjoy my money. I'm going to leave a link to a video by Lexi at the Avocado Toast Budget, because she did a great job explaining some creative ways to make changes to your budget from time to time to keep it fresh and interesting for you, so you don't lose interest in it and you don't fall off the rails and fall back into those old patterns. If you do, number 8 is for you. Failure is your sensei. Failure is an excellent teacher. If you fall off the wagon, start at face the music. Own it. Say, I screwed up. I wish I hadn't. It's done. It's too late to do anything about it now. The best I can do is have a reset. So don't let failure throw you off your savings goals and your money management habits. If you make that impulse purchase because you didn't have impulse friction in place, that's data for you, isn't it? That gives you information. You don't need to judge yourself for it. What you need to do is make an adjustment. If you did an impulse purchase because it was easy for you to do, you need to go back to step 2 and fix the impulse problem. Build additional friction. Make it a little harder the next time to repeat that mistake. If you are saving, and then and you're saving too much, but you're not paying your debt down as fast as you should, and you need to make that adjustment, it's not a failure, it's data. The data is telling you you're paying too much in interest and your savings are stymied because you're paying all this free money to the lenders. Prioritize paying off your debt. And then once that's off your plate, all of your money is yours. It's your expendable cash. And now you can get back to savings. So if you make a failure in a judgment, if you make a failure in a decision about how you're going to spend your money, if you make a failure in, you bought a car that had a car note and it's just too expensive. You're just paying too much for a car and now you're having to repair the car. Get out from under that loan. Just acknowledge it was a bad purchase. ADHD people do that sometimes. Give yourself some grace and say, I made a mistake, but this is giving me good data. What I really need to do is get out from under this car loan. I'll sell the car. I'll buy a beater. I'll pay down that debt as quickly as I can. Or I'll call the car company and see if they'll renegotiate, maybe lower my interest for a year or 6 months just to help me catch up and feel like I can breathe again. If you made a bad purchase, rectify it. If you made a purchase that's returnable, return it. If you saved, what do I want to say? Like if you had a long-term savings fund, a vacation, for example, and you thought you could get away with a $600 vacation, and then you went on vacation and discovered that you hadn't planned for everything and you actually spent $900, that's a failure, yes, because you had to use your credit card to supplement the vacation. It's also data. Let the data teach you. Let the failure instruct you. What's the data there? The data is next time if I really, really want to have the kind of vacation I want, I'm either going to have to save more for it, which means moving other money around, saving less in some other way, or reducing investment. Do I really want to do that for a vacation? If the answer is yes, plan for it. If the answer is no, then the next time, look for economical ways to use your vacation spending. Keep your budget the exact way it was, and spend less next time with a plan. So don't get discouraged and stop managing your money when you make a money mistake. ADHD people struggle with money mistakes. But you know what else ADHD people can do? Everything on this list. We can reset, face the music, Figure out what money is coming in, what money's going out, and how much I owe, and how much of that is interest. Because you don't want to pay interest. You don't want to pay 1 penny. You don't want to owe anybody. You don't want to be giving free money to some person or lender just for the privilege of them having more than you. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Keep as much money in your pocket as you can. Build impulse friction. Study and learn. What are the impacts on my personal life because of the ADHD tax that I pay? The setbacks, the struggles, how hard it is to establish in a career, how hard it is to prevent impulse spending. Understand the impact of that. Automate as much as you can. Make saving fun. Make paying your debt fun. Make investing fun. Keep it fresh. Keep it novel. Plan for every long-term expense. This is that time management thing. We can see now or we can see not now. Making a plan of how to pay a bill that's due in January by planning for it in April will keep you from being ambushed. Change things up from time to time. Keep it fresh. Keep it novel. Keep it fun. And keep it real. Your life needs will change. The cost of goods will change. They never go down. Cost of goods. The value of money is going down. The interest rates are going down, which means that if you put your money in a high yield savings account like I do, you're just not going to make as much of it in 2025 as you did in 2024. So you're going to have to make adjustments every once in a while. That's okay. That'll help you stay motivated and stimulated and finally learn from your mistakes. These are the things that have worked for me. I do them. I rely on this list. These are the primary tools I use to manage my money so that my money's not managing me. I'm giving all my loot a job. I hope you are too. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you in the next video.